there. Hey, welcome to episode 4 of our documentary on the Storyblok FlowMotion workflow and automation integration. I am Chris Bryce. I'm the CEO of Dotfusion, also a content operations architect. Dotfusion itself is a company that builds the websites and engineers the discoverability and the agentic workflows that scale the content after we launch those websites. But this is all about this amazing deep integration of N8N into Storyblok. Storyblok is calling that FlowMotion, and we're just going to do a quick at a glance how this works. And then I'll do another video on actually working on some automations that impact pages and blocks inside Storyblok. So just quickly where we are in the series here, we've been talking about how agentic workflows work in content management platforms in general. This playlist is specifically about Storyblok. We talked about Storyblok and Claude, setting up the Storyblok MCP server or connecting to it. There's two options. There's also using Claude with APIs. Talking about kind of building customizable blocks. And then we get into where we are right now is the integration of FlowMotion for creating workflow and content workflow automations. Let's do it. Okay, where should we start? Well, let's take a start with FlowMotion. I won't spend too much time on this. You can go to Storyblok's website and read all about FlowMotion, but it's all about the automation of workflows right inside Storyblok. And what that looks like, it's essentially N8N built in. If you're not familiar with that, go visit N8N. This is an example of a workflow inside N8N. And then what we're going to do here is quickly take you right in quickly to Storyblok. And I showed this screen just to show how what N8N looks like all on its own. If we're building automations on the N8N cloud, you'll see this kind of interface. And when we bounce into Storyblok itself, you will see this in the main UI of the site on the left. What we'll do here is go into my test experience here, and you'll see FlowMotion right there. And then very similar interface. We've got just a little demo automation here that I'll go through really quickly. Super simple, basically. So let me kind of explain this. N8N, FlowMotion, this gives you the ability to create any kind of automation for your content that you can imagine. This really quick example here is when an asset is added, deleted, updated inside Storyblok, is going to send a message to Slack. Super simple. Where this gets really exciting is you create a piece of content in its origin source, maybe Google Docs or Microsoft Word, and then we can trigger an email when that's done with a button in it that says approve and send to translation. FlowMotion can then send that to all of your translation resources. After that's been edited and approved, we can send it to legal. Then we can pass all of those new sets of content back through a schema metadata writing part of the workflow. And then we can actually publish right to the CMS. So there's all kinds of things we can do. And I will be doing a video on specifically automations and content workflows, not only for Storyblok, but for any content platform. But for now, what we're going to do here is maybe just go through this quickly. So what I am going to do is I'm going to bounce over to Claude. Again, the whole purpose of this series is we're showcasing how content operations can be managed by non-technical users. I'm not a developer. I do understand the concept of content supply chains and architecture, but I'm going to do all of this demonstration just using Claude Code. So here we are in the Claude Code interface. Claude, can you just give me an inventory of all of the assets in our Storyblok instance? All right, cool. So it's gone in. I've got a small little demo instance set up. It's telling us what's there. But I've got to upload a new logo. Upload the new Storyblok node image that's on my desktop into our Storyblok instance. I'm doing this just to set up the workflow, actually. So while that's doing that, let me let this do its thing. Okay, what we're doing here is we basically got a trigger in FlowMotion, and that trigger is basically connected to Storyblok management node in FlowMotion, and it's looking through an authenticated space, Chris at Dotfusion space, and it's going to be listening to an event that has an asset uploaded, deleted, or replaced. All right, cool. And then the part of that workflow is if something is triggered, then what we're going to do is we're going to send a message in Slack. I've got a test Slack channel set up here that will send a simple text message saying whatever I want it to say to a particular channel. So I will go through that in a moment here. So let's just leave that. We'll go back to Claude. It's busy doing its thing, getting an image uploaded. Storyblok's MCP server does require you to do one kind of API level upload. So here we go. Our Storyblok node PNG that was sitting on my desktop, Storyblok node PNG, has now been uploaded into Storyblok. Haven't gone in there, and they don't need a developer. Can you please give me the updated inventory of our assets in Storyblok? All right. Okay, cool. So here's our new Storyblok node PNG. I will also show you that if I go into Storyblok now, and I will go into my spaces, and I will go into my assets, you'll now see that we have uploaded this image here, which is just kind of a screenshot of the Storyblok node, just showing you that we have uploaded an image. We've kept it simple. We can have either AI generate the alt text and all kinds of metadata with that. In this case, I just wanted to do that quickly. But back to our FlowMotion part and our automation, which we know that when an asset has been updated, deleted, or added, we need a Slack message. And if we go over to our Slack channel here, we can see that it just kicked out a new message that says, "Holy Hannah, Chris uploaded a new asset." And that could go to, maybe senior manager who wants to know everything that's happening on the website. And basically that's how that happened. We triggered here and we used the Slack node to send that message. Very cool. Maybe what I'll highlight there is we've got some information that's been passed on from the trigger. And so we're saying Chris did something to some asset. Whoa. All right. And you can see in the Slack message that Chris uploaded a new asset. Whoa. All right. So that is that. I will get into a deeper explanation of how this works. But the real key point is we just did a few things there. We uploaded an image into Storyblok without kind of needing to go into the Storyblok interface. And then we had a signal based on that happening that sent a Slack message, which is pretty cool. And the way, just quickly while we're here, FlowMotion works is we can add many nodes. For example, I can add a node here, and let's say we want to have AI interpret what that message is and maybe create a few variants of that message. We could use, just a kind of an AI node, depending on which one it is. We could use maybe OpenAI and get it to prompt for a new set of images. And so we can add to this automation. I will create a whole video about more interesting workflows and automations using FlowMotion and N8N. But just wanted to give you the quick crash course lay of the land. Hope this sounds interesting. I'll break everything down into more detail. Please leave a comment if I can explain anything better, slower, more interestingly. That would be great. All right. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next episode when we build more complex automations using FlowMotion, Storyblok, and maybe a bit of Claude.